This morning, in front of Judge Dickinson R. Debevoise, two defendants, Mohammed Alessa and Carlos Almonte, pled guilty to a conspiracy to travel overseas to commit murder. These guilty pleas are the culmination of an investigation that began several years ago and resulted in the arrest of the two defendants last June. Sentencing is now scheduled for late June, although we're not exactly sure whether that will happen as scheduled or whether it will be postponed a little bit later than that. The defendants today, when they pled guilty, could not have been clearer about what their intent was. They admitted in open court, under oath before a federal judge, that they intended to travel overseas to Somalia. It's where they were going to join with Al-Shabaab, a foreign terrorist organization that's been so designated by the United States government, and where they clearly evinced both today in their guilty plea and in the tape recordings that were described in the initial complaint, they had an intent to go to join forces and to kill people who did not share the same religious beliefs and ideology that they do. So that's a threat. No one was hurt yet, and there was no violence yet, and for that we're grateful, and I think that's a tribute to the extraordinary police work of the organizations that were involved in tracking this thing down. I don't think the measure of our success would be whether these people are successful or not, right? We're much better off when they're not.
Listen, I am not saying that the United States should not take seriously acts of violence. I'm not suggesting that at all. What I'm suggesting is that you got to take a look at the whole case. You've got to take a look at the background of these young men and draw your own conclusions about what actually happened in this particular case. My client has been thrown out of 10 schools beginning when he was 4 years old. He has a fully certified history of attention deficit disorder, as well as being vulnerable to suggestion of having outbursts, of saying silly things beginning when he was 4 years of age. So all I'm suggesting is the government can point to a particular point and say, my God, this is a terrorist. What the government doesn't talk about is the part of the tapes where my client says, well, I don't think I can go to Somalia because I can't bring my house cat with me and I'll miss my pet.
As for whether they're kids or not, they're certainly young men who should have known better. They started talking about this activity in 2006. They went to Jordan in 2007. They continued planning this until 2010. This was not impetuousness. It was not a whim, and it didn't take place in 5 minutes.